we were going to talk to you guys today about being bold, which I think is kind of funny, because this was a lesson that I really need, because I'm probably one of the least bold humans that you're going to meet, but I have good intentions. I would love to be bolder. So we're gonna learn about that today. So bold, and it says showing an ability to take risks. They're confident and courageous. And to be bold implies a willingness to get things done despite risks. A bold person may be willing to risk shame or rejection in social situations, or to bend rules of etiquette or politeness. So I love that. I love so much about this. Nothing really in me is a person that has the ability to take risks. So this is a really great lesson. So the first thing to look at when I was kind of researching this was why you aren't bold. So it gave some reasons on why I could be a little bit more timid. And the first thing was that you're thinking too far ahead. So, and this, I can tell you, this is a huge weakness of mine. I've said this with some frequency. I'm a worst case scenario person. I don't like to say I'm a pessimist. I like to say I'm a realist, but that might not be completely accurate. But I can give you the worst case scenario for pretty much any situation. You could just tell me 4 words and I will come up with the absolute worst thing that could happen around it. So, but if you're going to be real timid, if you're constantly focusing on the worst case scenario. The next thing is that you're self-critical. So if you're sitting in the chair, right, and this could be me saying, oh gosh, I'm not smart enough for that, right? I'm not smart enough to come on here. I'm not a coach. How can I talk to all these people and be bold, right? I'm not young enough, or you tell yourself that you're not brave enough. Well, then you're going to believe it. It's pretty incredible how our mind works, that our mind, when we're talking to ourselves, cannot tell the difference between the truth and a lie. So if we are telling ourselves lies about ourselves of how we are not capable enough, well, then we won't be, right? We absolutely won't be, because we'll believe those stories. And then the next thing is that everything is important. One of the powers of anxiety is that it really helps you lose perspective, right? So, maybe you're looking at your to-do list or all the things that you need to get done that day. And, from loading the dishwasher to making sure your kids get home from school are considered kind of equal tasks. I know those were both kind of mundane, but, obviously making sure you've got your kids probably ranks a little bit higher than making sure that your dishes are done. I don't know. I really prefer a clean kitchen, but we got to make sure those kids make their way home, right? And then the last thing is that you don't want to upset others. And I think that this is something that we might see in our industry, or anybody that kind of works with people. So pretty much anyone, that we can worry about social acceptance, right? How many times have you gone to call somebody and you're really worried about what they're going to think about what you have to say or what you have to share with them? And that just comes down to social acceptance, right? If you're not worried about that, well, then you're going to be bold enough to pick up that phone. And especially, this is another thing, I keep telling you guys all these things I'm guilty of, but being a people pleaser. So if you're the type of person that really wants everybody else around you to be happy, you're going to do everything in your power not to make waves. And being bold will create some waves. So just making sure that you're not just sitting back on the couch, making sure everybody else is happy, you're actually getting up and you're taking that action. So here's how. So next thing I looked into, it's like, okay, well, I've got all the negatives, right? I can definitely be timid. Yay. Okay. I should have looked up that word. Maybe I could have talked to you guys about that all day. But to flip it, how does a person like me become bold, right? So first of all, it says practice listening to your gut. So get out of your head. Sorry, Debbie, I didn't mean to step on your toes. I'm stepping on my own too, but get out of your head and get into your gut, right? So our minds can come up with a million reasons why not to, but our intuition is really powerful. So if your intuition is telling you that little, that little moment of I should. Well, turn off your brain for a moment and listen to that, because your intuition's really, really smart, and it's getting smarter every day the more you're taking your probiotics. So keep on those. Next is set priorities. So when everything gets blurry, right? Because our anxiety and our fear is making everything kind of important, go back and set those priorities. So, what do I want for my business? What do I want for my future? What do I want for my family? Take a step back and think of those things, and then figure out what you can do to get those things in a line. What action? Well, that's going to lead us to the next one, but what action can you take? And that's the next one. It says take action. And this is the most important step. And this reminds me of a couple years ago. We were involved with a company that's now part of our company. And they used to do, like, every 90 days, we kind of would have these challenges where we would have to submit a story, right? And so mine was the action that I took. I was turning 40. So yeah, it was a few years ago. I was turning 40, and I wanted to do something that to me was really courageous and very much outside of my comfort zone. And that was to run a half marathon. And that was a very lofty goal for a middle-aged woman that hadn't moved much in her life. And it required me to take a little bit of action. But I'll tell you, every day that I went out, whether it was cold or hot or I was tired, or every day that I had a million reasons not to, but I still took that action, I gained a little bit more confidence. And every time I gained a little bit of confidence, I became a little bit bolder in my activity. And then when I finally had the accomplishment on my birthday, I could have jumped over a building. Now I could barely move, but in theory, I could have jumped over a building because I was so confident and so proud in what I did. And I was feeling very, very bold. So it's those little bitty wins added together is what creates confidence and what allows us to be more bold. And then realize that you can always mop it up and change your mind later. Okay. So most decisions, I know that there are some that are more permanent, but most decisions we can undo, right? Most decisions we can change our mind, or we can clean up the mess that we made after. So nothing, and very few things are permanent. So be bold and take those actions. And if it's a colossal failure, right? If you absolutely stumble, well, we can clean it up in a little bit. So thanks guys. I see that we have Myra on here. She's unmuted, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Oh, guys, I am so sorry for being so late, but I had 2 meetings back to back, which I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling the truth to you. So I had to be bold to walk up out of there today and tell them I had to go get with my family this morning. So anyway, bold. I'm sure I want to be sure to listen to the recording. I know Andrea. I read her notes. They were fantastic. So thank you, Andrea. Being bold simply means just standing up for something, or taking a step, or making an action while fully aware of its likely consequences or the danger involved. Another thing, being bold also involves you having a contingency plan to tackle any trouble or danger that would probably arise after the course of taking the bold decision or action. How many of us have jumped out there and just reacted based upon an emotion, and we jumped out there very boldly, but we did not think through a course or a plan for what was going to come next? Probably all of us have done that, or I have many times. So I think it's important that you have to have a contingency plan in place when you decide to be bold. And I hope you're bold in a lot of ways every day. Boldness is also, it's a leadership trait that has to be mastered. This is something we need to work on every single day. Here's just some traits that I have found as I was researching and looking up for things to discuss with you guys today. Here's just some traits that I found that were just very valuable. A bold leader will always own their flaws and strengths. You know, basically what that says is a bold leader is very self-aware. The good and bad, that's just being self-aware. They also keep clear priorities. You know, you have to have a plan. We've kind of talked about that contingency plan. When you are bold and you make a bold decision as a leader, you have to have a plan in place for if something gets a little bit off track or if it keeps rolling smoothly. We have to, otherwise, that's kind of a foolish thing that we've done if we don't have that plan in place. Also, a bold leader will always speak up. You know, I think about on the playground growing up. Take yourself back to your elementary playground outside with your friends, and there was always that bully out there. Were you bold enough to stand up to that old bully when they were picking on one of your buddies or your friends? You know, I did it. I did it to take up for some. I had people do it for me. So that, you know, speak up. We have friends every day that are getting talked down to. And so just speak up for them. Be bold. They also pair their actions with knowledge, a bold leader does. And I truly believe the majority of people who are terrific in being a bold leader are just super smart. And I say smart, they have book sense, but they also have tremendous common sense. And that always helps in a long way, goes a long way. And a bold leader, the ones that I think of that are just really good, they accept the failure. You know, they'll always accept that value of failure. And what I mean by that is, you know, we say this a lot. I don't lose, I learn, I grow, you know, so they accept the value of failure. They also take small wins and really build on small wins. You know, when something's going right and you step out and you make a bold decision, you're trying to lead something or present something, and something really good happens, even if it's really small, you got to build on that. You don't just let that one thing sit there and say, okay, yay, this was great, and then never build on it. If you want to grow as a leader and to be bold, you have to just keep on celebrating that. You know, the bold leaders that celebrate, you know, they build momentum, okay? They have a sense of when to have to add energy. You know, we've been in groups and we kind of feel like it's stagnant. You have to know when to add that energy. But they also need to know when the momentum itself is actually carrying itself and moving forward and being able to take a step back. So that's just kind of my thoughts on being bold. And I hope those traits will kind of help us all. I know it helped me and in areas that I got to work on today and every day to try to be okay and comfortable with being bold and making bold decisions. So I hope everybody has a great day. Be bold, get outside of your comfort zone today and make a bold decision. Love y'all.
Thank you, Myra. Thanks, guys.